Coffee Pot Conversations.
Bonjour et bienvenue to Coffee Pot Conversations, the podcast that tries to give you something that not even science has discovered. So, today's episode 4.6, an November overnight stay in Paris, part 15, brings us a little bit closer to, I don't want to say the final destination, but to the final part of this overnight trip that took place last year, back in November 2024. It's only last year if you're listening to it in 2025. So, what can I tell you? France got a new Prime Minister, but we're going to hear more about that in the news section coming up shortly. After I finish this bit, we're going to have the news. Let us another hand. We're going to have the news, and then we're going to have the conversation, which is the me walking around. But I can use my hands. I love this fact. I've got no green screen. I really do. And we're going to have the walk. So after the conversation, we're going to go back to the conclusion, which will be me in here talking. And I'll give you some more updates as to what's been going on. And then it'll be Jasper's section, which is, no, not his section, it'll be his jingle, which will then be me telling you what's coming up. And that'll be that. So, that's the rundown for this episode. So now it's over to Paul with the news. Paul. Thanks, Paul, on this side. No, this side. Paul. Great, thanks. Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu's ascension to the Premiership comes at a volatile moment. The government's budget proposals include austerity cuts that sparked widespread outrage, especially after the rejection of François Bayroul's earlier plans, with France's public debt hovering near 114% of GDP and a deficit that markets and citizens alike are wary of. Lecornu is attempting to rebuild credibility. Early gestures, sacrificing unpopular benefits for former ministers, postponing or cancelling proposals like eliminating public holidays, suggests he understands the optics, if not yet all the substance. But in a fragmented parliament, with opposition parties and unions holding leverage, every misstep becomes amplified. The protests, strikes and social movements around the country see him not only as a policy figure, but as a symbol. Can this new leadership reinvent austerity? Or will it be judged by how much it squeezes ordinary life? If Lecornu fails to show real empathy, even small signs of solidarity, he risks further alienation. And, given recent elections and confidence votes, the stakes are not abstract. Political survival depends on bridging the gap between the state's fiscal demands and the citizens' demands for dignity. From governmental corridors to the boulevards, while leadership navigates fiscal storms, people in the streets are pushing back in unmistakable numbers. Paris saw one of the largest mobilisations in recent years. Estimates vary, but hundreds of thousands of protesters flooded the streets in defiance, unified by the chant, "We will continue, we will give up nothing." The march brought together diverse demographics: students, public sector workers, older citizens fearful of having their social safety nets eroded. Transport, health, education, pensions all seemed vulnerable in the government's proposals. On that day, the city reverberated with immediacy of concern. Closures of schools, disrupted metro lines, gatherings at symbolic sites like Place de la République. For many, the protest was a response, not just to specific policies, but to a sense that decision makers are remote from everyday struggle, of rising cost of living, reduced social services, and a feeling that rights once taken for granted are now negotiable. The march provided both visceral spectacle and clear political message, that legitimacy requires listening, not just decreeing. It underscored how in Paris, public sentiment and political policy are inseparable. And when the protest heat rises, confrontation follows, both symbolic and physical, leading us to look at who is enforcing order in this moment of resistance. The Bloc Everything movement has become one of the focal points of anger in France, pushing beyond conventional protest to tactics that disrupt daily life. Barricades in highways, standoffs at transportation hubs, clashes with police, and use of tear gas. These aren't isolated skirmishes, but part of a coordinated ripple of civil disobedience, often organised via social media, emerging networks and student involvement. In Paris, tear gas has cleared streets, barricades have sprung up, police presence has ballooned. Yet, despite the tension, much of the movement remains leaderless, loosely organised, sustaining momentum through local assemblies rather than formal party structures. The state's reaction, heavy security, swift suppression of blockades, reflects both the threat perceived and the challenge of balancing public order with civil liberties. For many protesters, this is less about one policy and more about legitimacy. Who has the right to speak? Who has the right to be heard? Especially when austerity bites. The clash in Paris has become more than a political protest. It is a test of how far the state can push before protest becomes permanent. While the streets shout, the places many of us turn for peace, identity and communal belonging, the museums and monuments, are closing their doors as labour action takes hold. The Louvre, the Grand Palais and numerous cultural landmarks across Paris and France have experienced closures due to widespread strikes. Workers across multiple sectors, museum staff, transit workers, education, are part of a broader demand that culture should not be the first casualty of budget cuts. Visitors finding these institutions shuttered feel the absence not only physically but symbolically. Culture is central to Paris's self-image, to its economic and social ecosystem. For many Parisians, free or affordable access to museums, monuments, heritage sites are part of civic inclusion. And when those are denied, even temporarily, there is a feeling of exclusion, of cultural isolation. Meanwhile, the unions argue that protecting workers' rights, wages and working conditions is part of protecting culture itself, because culture requires people, not just buildings and treasures. The tension is clear. Heritage versus sustainability, spectacle versus responsibility. Strikes force the questions: can Paris maintain its identity as a cultural capital when those who manage its culture are themselves under pressure? And while doors close publicly, some dark currents slip past those thresholds. Artifacts stolen, treasures vanished, security breached. In an unsettling series of incidents, Paris's cultural institutions have been targeted by thieves, display cases smashed with axes, rare gold nuggets lifted from scientific collections, and artifacts vanished from behind locked doors. These heists do more than steal, they erode trust. When the public sees that museums, often seen as fortified sanctuaries of memory, can be so deeply compromised, the sense of vulnerability spreads. It's not only about loss of value, but loss of narrative. Who controls cultural memory when objects disappear? Security debates intensify. More cameras, tighter display cases, restricted access. But those come at the cost of openness and public engagement. For visitors and locals alike, the question emerges: when culture becomes a target, how do we protect it? These thefts are dramatic headlines, yet they are also symptoms of deeper unease. Economic inequality, underfunded institutions, cultural precarity in times of political stress. And yet, even in unrest, Paris remains a place of spectacle, of design, fashion, and the choreography of image. In contrast to demonstrations and closures, Paris this week also displayed its other face, that of elegance, glamour, and global culture. Renault's Le Défilé on the Champs-Élysées positions automobiles as art, design objects to be admired. Meanwhile, the collaboration between Jaden Smith and Christian Louboutin fuses youth culture with heritage fashion. It's not just about shoes or clothes, but about narrative. Who makes style? Who inherits it? Who reinvents it? These stories remind us that Paris still sells dreams of beauty, of aspiration. Even amid austerity, people still look to hope and spectacle, to aesthetic moments that contrast the tension. Fashion shows, installations, brand collaborations, they may seem lightweight next to protests, but they matter. They are part of Paris's identity, a way that the city breathes and is seen in world opinion. When culture markets its place, it also asserts resilience. And ultimately, looking backwards through the tapestry of Paris's past gives perspective. How heritage travels and what we carry forward. The Marie Antoinette exhibition at the Victoria and Albert Museum in London resonates intensely with Paris's history. Her image, her style, her fall, all are part of how we understand Versailles. Fashion, excess, rebellion. The V&A show reframes her not simply as tragic queen, but as a figure whose visual legacy in garments, portraits and decor continues to influence aesthetics. For Parisians, she was both myth and cautionary tale of monarchy, of revolution, image and power. The curation of her story abroad underscores how Parisian culture is not bounded by geography. It's exported, interpreted, adored, critiqued. It asks, which stories are preserved and how? Which legacies of image and expectation remain? In the echo of her gowns, we find reminders of both glamour and downfall, and also how heritage can guide new conversations about identity, style and privilege. From marches to museums, from firebrands to fashion, Paris reminds us that its soul is not in silence, but in a collision of histories, demands, dreams, and Rory singing a jingle.
Coffee Pot Conversations.
Walking boots are done well. Starting to feel my right heel. I'll bring it in. So my boots, which I bought last week before, 2 weeks ago maybe. Went to Lakeside. It's a whole issue in episode 2.10. Best bits in the news. Told you all about it. And bear with. We have private entrance. So eventually got the boots from Newbury Park, and I'm wearing them now. I've been wearing them a few times during the week just to help break them in. It's great, but I think because I'm heavy-soled, heavy-heeled, especially when I run, I can see that. I know I've not been running, I've been walking, and I have a very similar gait to when I walk as to when I run. So it has hurt, and the heel now on my right feels like it's ready to collapse. Not to worry. So it's just a fraction of the sections of Paris that I see. I haven't really did Leo. I don't know if I was filming much of that. I'm not sure. If I did Leo, the Westfield. Where else do I go? I don't know. It's really weird. I had a mental breakdown, probably because my shoulder's going to drop off. It's been nice. A little bit lonely because never here, didn't have the boys. Just no running. And it really was just like when I did it last year before. I really need to sit down and look at my notes. When I stayed in Rue de Londres, Hotel Geneviève, and I walked around, did my own little bits, but that was like a chill session. It wasn't like fact finding or feeling the pressure to get episodes recorded, which it's hard work. That is hard work, but I'm doing it, so I can't really complain. Well, I can, because they're not very good. But that's not for me to complain, that's for you, the viewers and the listeners, because you need to tell me how it went, because it's going to be really weird knowing how much to put out as a video, how much to put out as an audio. You don't really just want to be walking around, you don't really want to be listening to nothing taking place. I can't imagine it being a very exciting podcast episode. So that's why I'm sort of interspersing my walking with talking, because as we know, it can't be done. Hang on 2 seconds and just check on this. It's a kebab shop. Couldn't really work out the prices of that. Kebab shop. Couldn't work out the prices, but I did say I would check. But I don't think they were like proper kebabs. But I'll work that out later on. So it hasn't been a regular Parisian break for me. Next time I come, I don't know when it'll be. Be next year, 2025. It'll either be with myself or with Nev. And I'll spend time doing Paris. But I also do want to come back and spend time doing season 4, because I just need that confidence, that little bit of oomph, just to pop it. Let me show you something. So, dun 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 dun. Now I read an article the other day. It said Brits are only now realising what prêt-à-manger means, and they're gobsmacked. It's like, well, I didn't know what it meant, so I did a Google Translate, and I learned that way. And this was many years ago. I was working in the city, so that was before 2015. Nearly 10 years, at least. I'd say over 10 years I knew. So we're not now just discovering it. Certain people are just discovering it because they're stupid. Yeah, but why they flabbergasted, it kind of makes sense. Ready to eat, boom. Oh yeah, because it's like ready to eat food. Yeah, not to worry. Anyway, I'm coming up to a little junction and going to flick the map and work out where to go, because if I get it wrong now, I'm just going to have to take my feet off. So, see you soon. Okay, so here we go again. Haven't really changed direction very much. Just carried on walking. Took a slight right-hand fork. And yeah, a shop there called Art Shakespeare. Don't know what that's about. I'm assuming it's not the book people, because they weren't here.
For those of you listening, not watching, I'm just stood waiting to cross the road. And for those of you watching, not listening, you know exactly what I'm doing, which is waiting to cross the road.
Didn't it pop to the pharmacy though? Oh, good dolly plan. So I'm just having a look. And Billet de Mariage, oh, it's finished. Not really sure what it was. Un mari, monogramme, billet de mariage, de naissance et d'invitation, rouvre, carte de visite, papier de fantasy, menus, maroquinerie. So I'm guessing it was a posh stationer's, but it's gone now. So sorry about that. Anyway, back to Boulevard Haussmann.
Located on the corner of Rue d'Argenson and Boulevard Haussmann, the name of this luxury paper comes from a statue of William Shakespeare which was installed in 1888 on the corner of Rue Messine and Boulevard Haussmann, almost opposite the facade of the shop on the other side of the crossroads. The statue was commissioned by William Knight, and a British national who lived at number 134 Boulevard Haussmann, and was designed by Paul Fournier. It was melted down during the Second World War and never replaced.
So I think I can see a whale in the distance. Not one of those sign the petition things. Doesn't mind getting near, because when I checked on Google Maps, it said 20 minutes. That's probably 20 minutes of a normal person walking, as opposed to someone that's walked. I dread to think how far today. Carrying, I dread to think how much weight. Still onwards and upwards. Oh, yeah. So again, there's another little in the street. I don't know if it's a left, a straight, a right, or a right. There's Boulevard Haussmann. In fact, I think I'm fairly straight line to Gare du Nord once I've finished, which is fine. I don't know what time my train was. Was it 5, 6? And then all of this. So there was no, I'm joking. It was the Suprême Manger. Yeah, so I was a Monoprix. Might pop in there now if I don't get run over by the cyclists. Place Saint Augustin. Oh, sweet. Right, I'm going to do that. Right, let me find our way in. Actually, let's just take a look at this whale first. And it says Free Watson. Hashtag lazy lefts. But for now, I'm really hoping that this isn't the Monoprix that I walked past at Bastille, because I won't be happy. Here we go. That's close. Right, I'll see you soon.
Just to let you know that Paul Watson launched direct action campaigns to disrupt whaling operations that got him arrested in Greenland in July 2024. He was held for over 5 months on an Interpol red notice issued by Japan, but was released in December, so I guess the protests were.
So I just need to get out for Jasper. That's out for Roy, because what I did get for Roy I also got for Jasper. So let's how my days are. Let's go box of them. Pardon. Oh yeah. I don't know the way in. Too late anyway. Right, let's what are we doing?
So we've got about 5 minutes worth of walking around in a Monoprix. What you would have seen, but not necessarily heard, is I picked up a box of Lindt chocolates. I picked up the red box because we've already got a blue box indoors, which was a gift to Unc. So I thought the red one will make a nice completion to the set. On this trip, I have to get Jasper a gift, which he asked for from Monoprix. He didn't actually ask for it from Monoprix, but Monoprix is a place to go, I guess. And it was just some French salt, because they do like a bit of salt on their steaks. Now, I normally use pink Himalayan salt whilst I'm cooking. Didn't know if I was going to find it or not. So I am looking around for salt in a Monoprix, and that's pretty much what you're looking at. I'm going to keep quiet just so you can hear a little bit of background. Yeah, it's not particularly a busy Monoprix at this stage, but you know, you get the regular noises of what a Monoprix, or you know, almost like a supermarket would be at this time of day anyway. Now I'm actually looking at the salt, and I've just seen at the bottom pink Himalayan salt, but do I get it? Exciting times. If you listen carefully, you'll hear how old I am. Yep, they were old man noises. That was me bending down, and whilst looking at the video you will see that there was that bag of salt. I actually got the white salt on the shelf above. Now I'm going to take this moment in time to give a little bit of a call to action, as I've already figured out that you know where to find my podcast episodes, such as, you know, Spotify and YouTube for videos and voice, but for the vocal podcasts, that's going to be on Apple Podcasts. It's also available on Spotify and YouTube if you want to listen. However, I also have a blog in the old school sense, meaning it's simply an online diary rather than these newfangled concepts of giving hints, tips and lists. But on my blog, an EnglishmanInParis.blog, you get to read my web log of writings, as well as picking up the videos that are embedded with the YouTube version. It's all free. Even my Patreon page is free. All I ask is for reviews, likes, subscriptions and comments on my podcast pages. If anybody wishes to join the community and part with your salary on a monthly basis, I honestly won't stop you. It benefits me financially and allows me to get back to Paris more often. But at this stage, that's really the only benefit, although I will mention your name. Just turning my script. I'm looking at building a community for those that don't have the luxury of being able to visit Paris as often as they'd like, or those that do, but doing it on a realistic budget. So join up if you want to help provide direction for the show and give assistance to other listeners and viewers that join up on Patreon. But again, you don't have to. You can always email and let me know your thoughts. I'll read them out, as long as I don't get too many, and you can keep as anonymous as you like. The email To do that is podcast at anenglishmaninparis.blog. If you're more of a vocal person, then check out voicenotes.anenglishmaninparis.blog, where you record a little message that I'll listen to, or maybe even play on an episode. I mention this in the conclusion afterwards. Whilst I make this show as a legacy for my boys, I choose to use Paris as my muse for you. So join in any way you like. I'm a down-to-earth bloke and generally friendly. I like humour, by the way. That's my big thing. Anyway, this has just helped the post-conversation and call to action even shorter. Yep, you're welcome. And that's it. Time to pay.
Coffee Pot Conversations.
And that was episode 4.6, a November overnight stay in Paris, part 15. So, conclusion time. Firstly, obviously, thank you for sticking with me so far. I hope you're enjoying it. If not, let me know. If you're enjoying it, also let me know. This is the call to action. Just let me know. More importantly, two things I wanted to mention. Hands again. First is I get emails quite often to different parts of my email account, but this one came through to the podcast, and it was just to tell me, which I thought was quite nice. Actually, it's going to be 3 parts, but the first one was to tell me that I am placed 28th in the top 100 podcasts of Paris, which is great. Good news for me. Thank you. So for those of you that are listening and that wish to partake in community acknowledgements, let me know where you're listening from. Let me know how you're listening. Are you on Spotify? Are you listening through the web? Through however, I don't know. Just get in touch. The second part 2, which is even more recent, was I had an email asking me to contemplate joining a podcast network. Pros and cons for that. Yes, monetization, sponsorship. I don't know if that is the pro or the con. I don't know how much control or anything. So I've asked them, let me know what you can offer me, and I'll debate whether I'm going to partake in your networked podcast syndicate or whatever it is. I don't know. It could be a positive. It may be a not so positive. But if anything does happen, it's going to be from season 5 onwards. Part 3. Part 3 it's not going to be great podcast viewing for the next 20 seconds or so, 25 seconds, once I've told you what's happening. So, in short, I have in my show notes, you'll hear about this, a way that you guys can communicate with me via voice notes. So it's just like leaving a voice note or voicemail or a voice message, however you wish to purport to it. And what happens is you log in, you click on this linky bit in my show notes, voicenotes.anenglishmaninparis.blog. Great. Or whatyarn.com/coffeepot-conversations. And you just leave me a voice message, and it can sound like this. Now, this is going to be boring for 25 seconds.
My name's Ty. I'm the creator of What Yarn. And I was actually just sitting here listening to one of your latest podcast episodes, and I actually noticed you started dropping a message link in your show notes. And I was just sitting here, it just got me super excited. So I thought I would just quickly reach out and send you a quick message just to say thanks, and I really appreciate your support.
Now, while I said it was boring, what I meant was visually. So those of you watching me on YouTube or Spotify, you're going to see that I really didn't know what. Secret time, I took this home and then overdubbed it using my magic machines. But that's what that is. So that was great. That's how it works. So feel free, leave me a message any way you wish to vocally. That's a great way of doing it. That's it. That's really much all I've got for the conclusions. I'm still working out different ways of doing things for season 5. Microphone connected up. Pros and cons, swings and roundabouts. Seems to be quite a nice way of doing things, so I may stick with this as long as the sound quality is good. I'm trying to reduce the amount of magic that I'm doing. Hands again, I love this stuff. The only issue I have is the background music plays quite loudly. Could get me blocked, but it may not. So I need to just keep talking and talking loud and putting it over the volume of the music. I'll worry about that if it happens. So that's it. Now Now it's time for Jasper's jingle.
Coming up on Coffee Pot Conversations.
We have episode, I didn't know when it started recording, but we have episode 4.7, a November overnight stay in Paris, part 16. So that just means there's 16, 17, 18 to go. Then it's the best bits. Best bits are going to be a little bit different. As I've quite possibly said previously, I'm not going to be cutting and splicing all the parts from season 4. Too much effort, too much longness for me. What else do we have? Well, really, we've just got 3 more episodes where you see me walking down the road. I'm not going to tell you where I am at each section, but I don't even know where I finish up. That's how far behind I am. I know I do get on the train, I get home. But that's that. I'm trying to still keep the episodes short as I can, just more like around the half-hour mark as much as possible, which then leaves me open to working out what season 5 is going to be. That could be different. And it may not be all the same, because I do have an interview or two that I'm going to try and get covered whilst I'm in November. So during November in Paris. I'm back in November. No, I'm back in Paris in November. I can't even be bothered to edit this stuff out because there's so much going on. But on the plus side, I'll tell you what. Now, this coffee here, it's a latte, because we know it's my drink of choice in England. Paris, it is a café crème. But a latte, and this one, honestly, I can't begin to tell you how smoothly velvety that is. I'm in Bella's in Barkingside. It's my Sunday afternoon treat to myself whilst I record these episodes. I need to put my shoulders down. And not only is it £1 cheaper than Costa Coffee over the road, because I've tried their signature blend, it's actually probably the smoothest latte I've had. So thank you to the lady working in Bella's on today, which is I don't have the date, that's not great, is it? But it's around about it's a Sunday, it's the 21st of September. I finished rugby with Jasper. And that's it. So I'm just quickly finishing off here in Bella's before I go home, do all the editing. You don't care. This should be a conclusion, not a coming up. So for now, thank you. I did a call to action during the episode, as I'm sure you're aware. Oh, the episode, again, it should have been a conclusion, so apologies for that. But the theft of the art museum, so those of you that skip through the news, you won't know what I'm talking about, but the theft was at the Natural History Museum in Jardin des Plantes. I didn't realise what it was the first time I went there, and it's one of my favourite parks, and I really should go to gardens. I really should pay more attention to that place. And it's on the way to the Grande Mosque, which, again, for those of you following blogs and possibly prior podcast episodes, I also like their tea rooms. They are pretty cool and funky. I've not actually, spoiler alert, not included it for season 5. So maybe season 6, I will talk more about that, which means either you're going to hang about, or you've heard it if you're working your way backwards, or you're going to zoom straight and look forward to it. I don't know. But anyway, that's it. So now it's time for the last time this episode, over to Rory.
Coffee Pot Conversations.